Ethan Graves had spent months hiding in the cracks of the world, moving like a ghost through forgotten places. Tonight, the ghost was about to be hunted. The safe house was quiet, a small run-down cabin deep in the Alaskan wilderness. No cameras, no phone signals, no way anyone should have found him. But they did. The first bullet tore through the wooden wall, missing his head by inches. Ethan didn't hesitate. He flipped the table, using it for cover, already pulling his sidearm. A second shot. A third. Silenced weapons. Professional killers. He rolled to the side, shattering the oil lamp, throwing the room into darkness. Let them come to him. Footsteps. Crunched outside. 3, maybe 4 men. They weren't local thugs. This was a kill team. Ethan exhaled slowly. Whoever sent them was bigger than Mercer. Someone wanted him erased. The back door burst open. Ethan fired twice. 2 bodies dropped. The others moved fast, tactical, sweeping the room. Military precision. Ethan didn't wait. He dove through the window, glass slicing his arm, landing hard in the snow. Cold, wet, but alive. Headlights flashed through the trees, a black SUV waiting on the main road. They weren't just here to kill him. They were here to make sure he stayed dead. Ethan sprinted into the woods, heart pounding, mind racing. The chase had begun, and this time, there was no hiding. Hey, real quick, if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure to hit that like button, share it with friends, and subscribe for more awesome content. And while you're at it, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. All right, let's keep going. Ethan Graves had spent years fighting ghosts. Governments that didn't exist, organizations that worked in the shadows, enemies without faces. But this was something bigger. He sat in a stolen car, parked outside an abandoned gas station on the outskirts of Vancouver, staring at the encrypted file on his burner phone, a list of names. Names that shouldn't exist. He expected warlords, traffickers, corrupt politicians, the kind of people the syndicate used to keep in check. But these names, CEOs, generals, high-ranking intelligence officers, people who didn't just play the game, people who owned the board. A slow chill crawled down Ethan's spine. This wasn't about crime. This was about control. The first message came through at midnight. "You've made a lot of noise, Mr. Graves. It's time we talk." No sender. No traceable signal. Ethan tensed. They found him again. He typed a response. "If you wanted me dead, I wouldn't have made it this far." 3 dots. Someone was typing. "We don't want you dead. We want you back." Ethan's grip tightened around the phone. They weren't hunting him. They were recruiting him. And that scared him more than anything. Berlin was colder than Ethan remembered. The city had changed, yet the air still carried the weight of old wars, old secrets buried beneath steel and concrete. Ethan moved through the narrow alleys of Kreuzberg, his hood pulled low, his mind focused on the one place that hadn't changed, an abandoned bookstore. To the world, it was just another relic, forgotten between modern developments. But to Ethan, it was the last key to his past. He entered through the back, brushing dust off old wooden shelves. The air smelled of damp paper and time. He counted his steps. 8 paces left, 6 forward. Then he knelt. Beneath the warped floorboard, his fingers found what he had left behind years ago, a biometric scanner. 1 deep breath. Then he pressed his thumb against it. A quiet beep. A metal door hissed open beneath the floor. The vault was still there. The space was small, barely large enough to stand in. A single black case sat on the one metal table, untouched, waiting. Ethan knew what it was before he even opened it. A black file. No agency markings. No official seals. The kind of record that didn't exist because it was never meant to. He flipped it open. His own face stared back at him. But the name beneath it? Not his. Ethan's stomach twisted as he scanned the pages. This wasn't just a classified dossier. It was older than his time in the Marshals, older than his official recruitment into covert operations. The files detailed missions he didn't remember, years unaccounted for. And then, a project name. Ghost Protocol. Phoenix. His breath came slow. Controlled. He wasn't just a rogue agent. He was a creation, a weapon designed, trained, and set loose without ever knowing. Everything, the syndicate, Kane, Mercer, it was never about him fighting the system. He was part of it. And now, they wanted him back. Ethan Graves had spent his life hunting ghosts. Now, he was one. The moment he opened the black file in Berlin, the world around him collapsed. He knew the risk, knew that secrets like this weren't just buried. They were erased. And now, they were coming for him. The news broke within hours, not on television, not on the internet. This wasn't public. This was something worse. A global kill order. Every intelligence agency, every contract assassin, every government asset with a price on their head, they all got the same message. Terminate Ethan Graves. No capture, no negotiation, no questions. It wasn't just a bounty. It was a purge. By the time Ethan crossed into Prague, his accounts were frozen. His safe houses? Burned. Every contact he reached out to either vanished or sent a single warning. They see everything. Stop moving. But stopping meant death, and Ethan wasn't done yet. 3 days later, Vienna. A storm rolled in as Ethan slipped into a safe house that shouldn't have been compromised. Shouldn't have been. But the second he stepped inside, he knew. A glass of whiskey sat on the table, still cold. A single candle flickered in the dim light, and across the room, a familiar voice. "You're a hard man to kill, Ethan." His gun was up before she even finished speaking. Jessica Hale. Alive. Sitting there like she hadn't betrayed him. Like she hadn't been part of the syndicate's power play. "Put the gun down," she said, calm. "If I wanted you dead, you'd already be in a body bag." Ethan's pulse didn't spike. His hands didn't shake. But his mind? It was racing. Jessica had played him once before. She had been Mercer's right hand, and now she was his only way out. Jessica leaned back, watching him carefully. "They flipped the kill order on you, Ethan. That means one thing." He didn't answer. She smirked. "You're a liability, and the people who really run this game, they don't allow liabilities." Ethan exhaled slowly. She wasn't lying. "You should be dead," he said. Jessica shrugged. "So should you." A pause. Then she leaned forward. "I can help you get to them, Ethan." Her voice was quiet now. "Dangerous. But I need to know one thing first." Ethan met her gaze. "Can you trust me this time?" she asked. Silence. Rain hit the window in steady drips. The candle flickered. Ethan Graves had made a career out of trusting no one. But right now, he didn't have a choice. Ethan Graves had spent months tearing the syndicate apart, hunting its leaders, exposing its operations, and leaving its empire in ruins, or so he thought. Because the syndicate wasn't the top of the pyramid. It was just a branch. And now, the people who truly ran the world were stepping out of the shadows. Jessica sat across from him in the dimly lit Vienna safe house, her expression unreadable. "The people you thought you destroyed?" she said, her voice quiet. "They were just the front line." Ethan leaned back, arms crossed. "And the ones behind them?" Jessica exhaled. "The real power brokers. The ones who don't need to hide in the dark because they own the light." Ethan's jaw clenched. He already knew the answer. Kane. Mercer. Even the syndicate itself. They had just been pieces on the board. The game wasn't over. It had just leveled up. A burner phone buzzed on the table. Jessica slid it toward him. "Answer it." Ethan hesitated, then picked it up. A calm, controlled voice came through the line, a voice he had never heard before. "You've impressed us, Ethan. No introduction, no threats, just inevitability. You survived longer than most, adapted faster, proved you're more than just a weapon." Ethan's grip tightened on the phone. "That's the problem, isn't it?" A pause. Then, the offer. "We don't want you dead. We want you working for us." A slow, measured breath. "This isn't a request." Jessica watched him, waiting for his reaction. "Let me guess," Ethan said, voice cold. "I say no, and I disappear. For real this time." Jessica didn't blink. "They don't need you dead, Ethan. They need you compliant." Ethan stared at the phone. Every instinct screamed at him to walk away. But, deep down, he knew the truth. He could say no. run, disappear, and spend the rest of his life waiting for the day they finally caught up to him, or he could say yes and burn them from the inside. A long silence stretched. Then Ethan smiled. Tell them I'll think about it, Jessica smirked. Good answer. But she knew. They both knew. The game wasn't over. It was just beginning. The rain hit the rooftop in steady drips, masking Ethan's footsteps as he moved across the reinforced glass skylight. Below him, hidden beneath layers of corporate bureaucracy, was Black Site Echo, a classified intelligence facility buried under the streets of Geneva. It wasn't just any black site. It was where Ethan Graves had been made. The facility held the files on him, his real past, the missions he didn't remember, the enemy he had never truly seen. And tonight, he was taking it all. He dropped silently through a ventilation shaft, landing in a dimly lit corridor lined with biometric scanners and cameras. He moved fast, his heartbeat steady. He had 20 minutes before the system flagged him. Room 417. Restricted archives. Ethan reached the reinforced door, slid a stolen keycard into the reader. A soft beep. Green light. Inside, rows of secured cabinets stretched into the darkness. And then he saw it. A single black case marked with a name that shouldn't exist. Phoenix Protocol. Subject Graves. Ethan. His fingers hesitated. For years he had been running from his past. Tonight he was facing it. He flipped open the file. Mission logs. Psychological evaluations. Training protocols dating back further than his official recruitment. He scanned the records. Pulse tightening. There were missions he didn't remember. Years unaccounted for. And at the bottom, a classified note. Asset Reclamation Protocol. In the event of subject defection, immediate retrieval or termination is authorized. His breath stilled. This wasn't just a history lesson. He had never left the program. He had only been on borrowed time, and that's when he heard it, a quiet click. A red light blinked above the door. The lock engaged, and in the reflection of the metal cabinet, a figure moved behind him. Ethan turned, gun up, too late. A sharp crack, a shock of pain across his skull. Darkness, then a voice, calm, controlled. Welcome back, Ethan. And then, nothing. Pain was the first thing Ethan felt. A sharp, pulsing ache in his skull, then the cold. His wrists were bound to a steel chair, his ankles strapped down. The air smelled like antiseptic and metal, a holding cell buried somewhere deep inside Black Site Echo. He had walked straight into their trap. A door hissed open. Soft footsteps, a presence moving toward him. A man in a dark suit stood before him, eyes unreadable. Ethan Graves, the man said, shaking his head. We warned you. Ethan's vision cleared, his mind already working. Counting exits, measuring angles, feeling for the blade still tucked inside his sleeve, because he wasn't going to die here. The man leaned in. Did you really think you could uncover the truth and walk away? Ethan didn't answer. He just smiled. Then he moved. A flick of his wrist. The hidden blade sliced through the strap on his wrist. Before the man could react, Ethan drove the blade into his throat. A gurgled gasp. A body collapsing. Blood pooling. Ethan ripped free from the chair, his body aching but still moving. The alarm blared. Time to go. The first two guards burst through the door. Ethan grabbed the fallen operative's gun and fired twice. Headshots. Clean. Fast. He moved through the corridors, taking cover as bullets tore through the walls. A flash grenade exploded nearby, blinding light filling the hallway. Elite operatives swarmed in. Ethan ducked, rolled, grabbed a fallen rifle, then let hell loose. He fought like a man with nothing left to lose. Because he didn't. By the time he reached the archive room, his body was bruised, his breath ragged. But he had what he came for. A single name. The one pulling the strings. Ethan staggered into a stolen car, blood smeared across his sleeve. He grabbed a burner phone, dialed a number he hadn't used in years. A familiar voice answered. Gravely. Cautious. You shouldn't have called me, Ethan. Ethan exhaled. I need your help. A long silence. Then, the words that sent a chill through his spine. No, Ethan. You need to run. The line went dead. Ethan clenched his jaw. The fight wasn't over. It was just beginning. Ethan Graves had spent his life hunting ghosts. Now he was one. Blood still slicked his hands as he drove through the empty streets of Budapest, the stolen car humming beneath his grip. His body ached from the escape, his ribs bruised, his breath sharp. But he didn't have time to stop, because he knew the truth now. He wasn't just fighting a conspiracy. He was the conspiracy. The stolen files sat on the seat beside him, a single, classified dossier detailing his entire existence. Phoenix Protocol. Asset reclamation. The words burned into his mind like a scar. Every mission. Every unexplained gap in his memory. Every order that had come from nowhere and everywhere at once. The people he thought he had been fighting weren't enemies. They were his handlers. He wasn't supposed to exist outside of their control. And now, they were coming to erase him, Ethan, parked in a quiet alley, slipping through the shadows toward a safe house only a handful of people knew about. Inside, the lights flickered, a power surge. He froze. Someone had been here, gun drawn. He moved through the apartment, checking corners, every instinct firing. Then he saw it, a single envelope on the table. His pulse slowed, controlled, calculating. They weren't trying to kill him, they were warning him. Ethan exhaled, picked up the envelope, and slid the letter free. The paper was smooth, the ink precise. You were never free, Ethan. You were only on borrowed time. A slow, steady breath. Then, his phone buzzed, a new number, no name. He answered, a voice, smooth and unreadable. We gave you a chance to come back. A pause. Now you don't get a choice. Ethan's jaw tightened. They were making their final move, but so was he. He crumpled the letter, grabbed his gun, and stepped back into the night. This war wasn't over. It was just beginning. If you enjoyed this video and want to see the next part, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated. See you in the next one. Your support means the world.